Let's bring in the Deputy Prime Minister and the Defence Minister, Richard Marles. So we've got this big announcement today, Minister. Good morning, good to see you, by the way. $5 billion as a down payment. That is not insignificant. So what do we get for it?
Well, I think the fundamental answer to that is we get the nuclear reactors, which will go in to the submarines that are going to be built right here at the Osborne Naval Shipyard. I mean, a year ago, Pete, we made the point that we will need to see an expansion of the industrial base both in the US and the UK, and there's been a talk about both of those actually in the media in recent times. For the UK specifically, because the nuclear reactors will be built in Britain, not here, and they're sealed nuclear reactors which will be then brought here and placed in the submarines, that facility, which is operated by Rolls Royce in Derby, needs to be expanded to produce those reactors at a faster rate. I was actually there last year and they're already readying themselves to build the Australian reactors there. Indeed, there are parts being made right now as we speak, which will be on that very first submarine that rolls off the production line here in the early 2040s. And so it's important that we're making our contribution to that. But let me also say that the place where we will be spending the most money in terms of industrial uplift is right here in Australia. Over through the 2050s, we'll spend something like $30 billion in improving and building up our industrial base here so that we can build nuclear-powered submarines here at Osborne.
So, I mean, we're paying the UK to do our nuclear work for us. Why not just reverse your nuclear policy and do it here?
Look, we're not in a position to be able to build nuclear reactors here.
We could be, though.
If you went down that path, we certainly wouldn't be getting our submarines in the time frame that we need them. I mean, there is a facility in the UK right now which is building reactors for the British fleet. What we're doing is seeing an expansion of that, and that is the quickest way and the most cost-effective way in which we can get those nuclear reactors into our own nuclear-powered submarines that we will be building here through the 2030s. And what we need to do is to get this capability into service as quickly as possible, and that's been at the heart of all the decisions that we've been making around acquiring a nuclear-powered submarine capability.
Okay. There are already fears of delays out of the US, Minister, amidst efforts to trim its own submarine output. Has the timeline for the delivery of our submarines changed at all?
No, it hasn't. And I know there's been commentary about this over the last few weeks, but the fact that the UK and the US industrial bases are stretched is something we understood a year ago, which is precisely why, when we announced AUKUS, we also announced that we would be making a contribution to those industrial bases so that they could expand and uplift in a way which would enable us to do what we need to do to acquire the nuclear-powered submarine capability in Australia. So this is exactly how we imagined it would be, both in terms of seeing the uplift in the UK for those nuclear reactors, but also seeing the uplift in America so that we can see those first Virginias transferred to Australia in the early 2030s. But I think that, in today's announcement, in announcing that ASC and BAE are going to form a joint venture here to build Australia's nuclear-powered submarines, what you see is another fundamentally important step forward in the pathway to Australia acquiring these submarines. It ensures that this will be happening on time, and ultimately, right here at Osborne, we're going to see 4,000 to 5,000 people working on building Australia's nuclear-powered submarines. It will be the most high-tech manufacturing that is done in this country, one of the most high-tech manufacturing production lines in the world. It's great in terms of us getting our capability. It's great for Australian defence industry.
Okay.